And welcome back to Jeff Koinange live at the Intercontinental Hotel here with an amazing Kenyan who is doing amazing things, standing up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. Irungu Houghton was at Langata Primary School on Monday, got arrested, got roughed up, spent the night in jail, and is here to talk about it. But I tell you, Mama Charity Ngilu has opened up a Pandora's box, Irungu, because of the whole sing thing. Kenyans, as creative as they are going to town. Let me just read a couple. How do you become a land grabber in Kenya? By practicing. Ngilu's naming of the land grabber was unconvincing. Who is the name behind the names? Missing. And then I just got another one from my director, Nick. He says, Ndio huyo land developer from Uasin Gishu. Oh my. Send in your tweets. They're already coming in thick and fast, as Willie would say. but you know, it's good that we are in this space to speak like this, isn't it? You know?
I mean, I think the freedom of expression is probably really a cornerstone of our democracy, you know, and we need to basically secure that within the media. Jokes like this, you know, can be perceived as being against a particular community. So we need to be also careful that those people whose surnames are sing out there do not see themselves being victimized or focused on. But I think, you know, in the sense of humor, I think it's all healthy.
Absolutely. In fact, Ken Ojoa says, thank goodness Irungu Houghton didn't end up missing.
Well, I definitely wasn't trespassing.
Oh, snap! We could go on and on.
But that school does need some more fencing.
Oh. Go on.
We can go on.
I love it. Okay. Positive Action says this man, Irungu Houghton on JKL, is making a lot of sense. Loving the show. That's it, man. I mean, look. I was talking about the property right on Peponi, and we passed this property like the last 4 or 5 years, and it's good to see. And NYS was there, by the way, brought down the wall, chased off those goons, and this is the land that Wangari Maathai had designated as riparian land, and nobody could build on that, but some greedy politician had grabbed it. Turning point.
Turning point. And another thing to pick up on is Wangari Maathai did not become Wangari Maathai at the age of 50 or at the age of 70. She became Wangari Maathai when she was a child. So one of the things that I think has been missing from this conversation, really, I think, as we felt concerned for the children, is really to deny them a voice and a sense of agency. So it was almost like it was adults who had to intimidate them or to incite them. But actually what I got from that conversation was really that the Constitution and all the benefits and the freedoms that we have in this country are really the responsibility of us all, whether we be, you know, 9 years of age, whether we be a teenager, or whether we be in our 40s, like I am.
Yeah.
So I think what's important for me is that in that moment, children actually took action on something that they felt was unfair, something they felt that was unjust, and they managed to reclaim a plot of land that, frankly, adults had failed to protect for them. Now, that we will reap in the future.
Right.
There are a few Wangari Maathais in that school now.
Yeah.
You know?
And they wouldn't let that happen going forward.
They won't let that happen going forward. And that school now is there for generations.
Yeah.
It's not even just there for this group.
And look, Kenyans who have been very active on social media, and we are very extremely active on social media, but there's no follow through. Yeah. Monday, there was follow through. Yeah. Going forward, people can actually do something that'll lead to positive change.
Absolutely. I mean, already we're seeing a lot of cases of people coming forward, and we started a hashtag that said, what can the government of Kenya do to get ahead? Right? Which is a proactive attempt to give the opportunity to the government to take action on things that are in the public interest. So we can stop complaining. You know, complaints never have commitment behind them. Commitment cannot sit in the space of a complaint, because a complaint is a resignation. It is to say, I can do nothing about this, I can only whine. But once we start getting committed about certain things, then what happens is that you start to see some action taking place. Kilimani Mums mobilized 900 women and a few men onto the streets of Nairobi in the CBD in 4 days. And that stopped a whole range of stripping of women that had been taking place across the county. And I should mention, one of the songs that was being sung by the children at the Langata Primary School was "My Grounds, My Choice." My grounds, my choice.
So coming off of "My Dress, My Choice" hashtag.
That was not given to the children. That was children picking what they thought made sense to them and taking action on what mattered to them.
Yeah, you know, I was doing some commentary for an international station, and obviously the pictures were extremely embarrassing for the Kenyan government, and the images were just, you know, being compared with South Africa and other places in the world during those dark days. But you got to give the government credit for the quick reaction. Yes?
Yes.
I mean, they could have done nothing.
I think so.
Past governments have done nothing, and would have waited for this thing to blow away, and life would have gone on.
Yeah, within 4 hours, the acting inspector, the general, the inspector general had interdicted the OCPD for, first of all, ordering the tear gassing of children, and then secondly, lying on national television. The cabinet secretary had arrived in the course of the next morning. I mean, I think there are a lot of good things that come out of this, and I think whereas none of us wanted to see Kenya portrayed this way, I would hope that there is enough imagery and enough language that goes into the international community that we have seen a number of actions take place. Now, what we would like is for government not to be reactive in every instance. What they need to be is proactive and ahead of the curve. That way you don't have children having to get tear gassed in order that the government begins to see that this is actually a national problem.
I was talking to Dennis Itumbi and Boniface Mwangi last night. I don't know if you watched the show.
I did.
And Dennis was saying, you know, Nkaiseri is the one who decided, I'm going there. I want to go there myself. I want to go there and I want to talk to the children. And that, you know, that's, you got to give him some props.
It's a bold leadership. It's good.
And hopefully going forward, there'll be more of that. Yes?
I mean, I think so. I mean, I think the, you know, what I said this before, you know, that behind every great leader, there has been a citizen or a person who's probably not even very well known, who has actually called that person to take a bold action. Yeah. You know, we saw that with, you know, for example, there's no Nelson Mandela without Oliver Tambo.
Correct.
You know, the whole, you know, leadership of the Mandela cabinet would not have been possible in 1994 unless 1976 and the Soweto uprisings had not happened. So these things are all connected. These things are all connected. Children can provide leadership for adults, and adults can also set a direction that gives children the confidence and the trust that they will be able to speak and be heard, and action will be taken. They don't need to go and knock down walls.
Absolutely. Or be knocked down themselves.
Or be knocked down themselves.
Right? Wangari Maathai, wherever she is now, you think she's smiling?
Oh, she's dancing. She's dancing. I actually had Wangari Maathai in my mind a lot of the you know, over the last 72 hours, because you know, here was a woman who you know, in some ways was seen as being a loner, was seen as being a courageous individual, but she has inspired, you know, hundreds of thousands of people, and you know, I don't see why we shouldn't be proactively creating spaces and coaching and civic education for children, so that we can produce also a Malala. And Lucy Njeri, for me, you know, is our Malala.
Yeah? Good point. Good
I think
point.
I would even say to the head of state that, you know, if there's one candidate for an award at the end of this year, that would be a woman, that would be a girl called Lucy Njeri.
Lucy Njeri from Langata Primary School. Incredible. People are already looking at you for advice. Irungu, listen to this. Jerry is asking, how can individuals be assisted to get their plots back taken by grabbers, and cases have been taking years in courts? What does one do?
Well, I think practically there are a number of things there. There are actions that you can take with the complaints with the National Land Commission. So the chairperson has said very publicly, please bring all cases to me. I think there are cases that can be taken to the Ombudsman, and that's an office that's been set up. When government does not act quickly, you can actually report that government office to the Ombudsman. And I think it's worth, you know, also going to the Ministry of Lands and very publicly raising this. Probably what we need is some organization to set up a website that says, you know, that has a list of properties with some GPS tracking. Maybe Ushahidi or one of the creative digital hubs could develop something like this, where we could actually show parts of Nairobi that have been excised or stolen, and then have the government investigate those.
Absolutely. Eli Onguka, he says, in the words of Malcolm X, you stand for something or fall for anything.
Absolutely.
Someone wants to know the name of the movie. We're talking about Leon Vince wants to know the name of the movie. It's called Selma. as in Selma, Alabama, right?
Right.
Civil rights.
It's really about the march on Montgomery.
Yeah.
At a time when in the South, the African Americans could not vote. And they were intimidated, and they were essentially prevented from even getting to the ballot box.
Yeah.
And a group of organizers, including Martin Luther King, came down and just led their procession, gave them the comfort, the courage, and really what you can see many years later has been something that was really profound.
Yeah, and they went through what you went through. I mean, he was arrested, he was beaten, he was put in jail.
But I say, to that, because people kept asking me, you wanted me to show you lots of scars and so on.
Yes.
I keep saying that, in some ways, in situations like that, personal safety is important. But at the same time, the pain is real. The tear gas going in your eyes is real. But what, is completely optional is suffering.
Yeah.
Right? You can feel pain, but actually to suffer, that is a choice that you make.
Yeah, and that march on Selma and eventually to Birmingham led to the civil rights, the Declaration of the Right to Vote.
The right to vote.
Right? Which was signed by...
Ironically, being taken away in this year by Republicans.
God, they have their issues.
So I think the other thing there maybe is in some ways that we can win the rights, and we won several rights under the Constitution.
Yeah.
But unless there is vigilance and there is constant citizens' action and responsive leadership, you can lose those rights in a generation.
And I say that because sometimes us Kenyans have the attention span of a warthog. So, we forget things so quickly, we move on to the next thing, and we leave stuff behind. But what you just said, vigilance is key.
Yeah, we may have what you'd call kind of temporary amnesia or acute amnesia. But I think what's important to realize is that every injustice that we forget makes us smaller. It makes the country smaller, and it makes what is possible in this country smaller. Yeah. So silence, forgetfulness is complicity.
I want to talk more about that after the break, but before we do that, let me read a tweet from Waiharu Awero, who says, I'm pleasantly surprised that there are still some sober activists. Irungu is such a guy discussing issues and not sideshows. Well done. Kavoy Minor says, children can provide leadership for adults, and adults can provide safety and action for children's opinions.
I think I agree with that.
Yep. Abdi Muhammad says, what those children did on Monday was a game changer. Going forward, things are going to change. You agree?
I agree.
Game changer.
Game changer.
Let's talk about more about after the break. And also going forward. Going forward. Maybe there's some people out there who want to be like you, activists, stand up. Don't know how to do it, don't know how to go about it. Let's find out. At Irungu Houghton, at Koinange Jeff, the hashtag is JKL. This man is inspiring me tonight. I might just go for that next March. Let me know. Maybe. JKL takes another break. We'll be back. Don't go away. Keep tweeting. We're back in a minute.